that this is the project explorer where you would find all your projects and you can expand them and view the various libraries or the various files. This is the menu bar. This is where you would want to save your file, import or export any projects. You would want to do a simple copy paste, but obviously for that we generally use the shortcuts, right? So you can find all the shortcuts which Eclipse uses at the right over here. So let's say, for example, you want to do a search in your entire project. So it's not just one file, because in one file we generally use a control F, right? But if you want to do a search in your entire project, then you can simply type control H and then your search dialog would be opened. So this is something which we would use generally a lot, because it's not that our code might lie in just one file, right? We would have multiple files and those files would have a lot of code. So if you want to search for a particular line, a particular code snippet, then you would use this search tab. Now over here, you can see that I have a particular window in which the name is console. If you do not have this, then you can try to find where it is lying over here. So here I can see the problems tab, or I do see a restore tab. So here my problems are coming over here. I don't want to see them. And there are many such tabs. If you don't find this console tab, you can simply go to window and then show view. And then you can try to find out the console tab over here. If you still cannot find, you can press on other and simply type console, and that's where you will find it. You can just open it and place it over here. The other tab which I have open over here is the search tab, wherein again, as I said, that if we want to find anything within all of our projects, then the results would come over here in this particular tab. So these two tabs are like really very important. Other than that, you would have this particular bar in which we have all these small icons, but the most important icon is over here, which says run, because that's where we would click to run our program. Another one is the debug button, which we might use for debugging our programs. Now let's write a new program. So for that, we have to click on our SRC button, the right click, we have to go into new, and then you will find all these options. If you do not find your particular option, you can again go to other and type that option. But I do find an option which says class. That's what we have to click. And here for the class, I will give the name, let's say first program. And then I will click on finish. That's it. That's all we have to do over here. What this will do is that it will create a small code snippet for us on which we could work. And now we would start typing our first program. So to create a hello world program, the first thing is that all your Java programs have to be within one particular public class. We would go into details of what is public, what is a class, etc. But essentially, we have this public class and then our file name and then our open curly braces and close curly braces. These open curly braces and closed curly braces form a block. All of our code would be within this block, and make sure that this public class name is the same name as the name of the file, the class file which you just created. So the name was first program. So Eclipse automatically created the name to be first program, but otherwise you have to always make sure that this name is same as the file name. Remember, the first thing to remember is how to add comments in a particular program. Now, if I just type 2 forward slashes and write this is the first comment, then you will realize that it is coming in our different color. And now this is the first comment. If we have to actually add more information as a comment, then let's say I write that remember your code always starts with the main method. Now, can you see all these squiggly lines coming over here, red color? There is one red mark over here. It says multiple markers at this line. There is some syntax error, start cannot be resolved to a type. All of these errors are coming. Why? Because it feels that this is code, but obviously we are not writing the correct format of Java code. So obviously it is giving us all of these errors. So as I said, that Java really helps us to understand, and IDE in fact really helps us to understand where we are doing a mistake. by highlighting things beforehand before we even run our code to realize that there is some problem with our code. So what it means is that this is not a comment, but I just put a 2 forward slashes over here, right? That is because this is a single line comment. If I want to make this line also comment, I can simply add 2 forward slashes, and now all the errors go away. Or if I want a multi-line comment, I could simply remove all of this part and then have a forward slash star, and at the end again, a star and forward slash. So this is going to create a multi-line comment, because here I can keep writing anything else and it would just keep writing the comment for me. So comment continues, and this is multi-line. Okay, so this is how we would write comments in our code. That is just because we want to write some explanation in our code without letting the compiler know that this is something which we want to execute. So the compiler will simply ignore all of this information and start executing your program with the main method. Now remember, your code starts always with the main method, okay? The main method. Your class should have a main method, okay? So how to write a main method? I would write it saying public static void main, and after that I will put 2 round brackets, and then I will write string args, and then I would put 2 square brackets. Now what is public static and void? What is string? What is args? What is this square bracket? What is this round brackets? All of that information we are going to discuss soon. But when I create this new block within my main, now here is where my code will start executing as soon as I run this program. Now, we just want to print something like hello world in our console, let's say, okay? So for that, what we have to do is we have to print it. So to print, we have to write system.out.println, and then again curly brackets and then a semicolon. Remember, all of our statements in Java have to end with semicolon, and I cannot emphasize this enough that you cannot forget adding semicolons, because you will have so much of errors just because you forgot a semicolon. And that's the constant frustration which programmers have, that I got errors and I was so behind what is the problem, and I finally realized that I just forgot a semicolon. So make sure that you always add a semicolon at the end of the line, okay? Now, what system.out.println does is tell the compiler that I want to print something on the console. So what is that something? That something is hello world. But if you just write hello world like this, it is going to again, show some error. Why? Because if you understand that public, static, void, main, string, args, system.out.println, this is something which the program understands. But this hello world, that it doesn't understand. So we have to actually tell the program that this is not something which is programming related. This is something which I want to show to the user in the console. So for that, I have to add an inverted comma pair. Okay, so with that, my hello world is coming within this. There is no error, and I can simply Control S to save my program. Now to write this system.out.println, Eclipse has a very nice shortcut in which you just type this out and then you press Control plus space, and it will open up the system.out.println totally for you. And that is pretty amazing. So this is easy, okay? And then I save it again. Now, if I have to run this, I can simply go to my project, right click on it, and then you can see a run as. It would ask other options, but we do not have to worry about the other options. We would simply select Java application. When you select that, it would find the file which has your main method. And as I said, your execution starts from main. So it will execute these 2 lines and it will display hello world. This is easy. Now, did you realize that I just wrote hello world and this is easy? I did not tell it in any way that you have to actually go into the next line. How is this happening? This is happening because of this println. What it is doing is that it is saying that create a new line after every time I print. If we just put it like print over here, then you would see if I again do run as Java application, there would be no new line. So if you want a new line, you could simply use a println. Otherwise, you are fine with using simply print. Okay. Now, this public, as I said, public is something which is going to make sure that all of this information is available for the compiler or for the other creators of this particular software. Again, this is the class which we are going to discuss a lot further in detail in object-oriented concepts. Remember, main always has to be public because the compiler has to find out where the main is and execute it. So how will the compiler be able to execute main if you have not exposed it to all the public, right? Meaning the compiler as well. So it has to be public. Now, void means what? You understand the English meaning of void, right? There is nothing in something, right? So we have a program, but here there is nothing. There is a void. Why? Because we are not returning anything over here. We are not saying that, okay, once we do all of this, now pass some information to the compiler or to the one which has called me. No, we just don't want to pass anything. So we would just not, uh, we would just say that this is void. And static, again, we are going to delve a lot in detail when we talk about object-oriented concepts. Main is the name of the method. What is a method? Method is this block of code which has a particular name, and here the name is main. And now these curly braces, they would have all that information which the person who called, or let's say the compiler are calling main method to execute, right? So the compiler can pass some information to the main method that, okay, I want you to actually use this information which I am passing. So that can be passed on along like a string whose name is args. And these square brackets essentially denote that row of data which I was talking about, right? So this row of data would have a number of strings, a number of characters, and you can simply use that in your program. But here, we are not using this because we simply have just called to run this program without any information passing over here, right? So this is something which we might not even use a lot, right? So, but this is the syntax. We have to at least mention that we can use string args. So this is something which is compulsory. Public static void main, string args, open and close curly braces. This is the format for writing the main method. To print anything, we have to write system.out.println. It is going to tell the system the java.lang.system library, as you can see over here. As soon as I put my mouse pointer over there, it is highlighting what this means. So you can just put anything on a particular library and it is going to highlight that. So java.lang.system library, it actually helps you with some useful class fields and methods, which is going to do some common tasks. So here within system, there's this out stream, and within that there is this println method which is going to take some string. Again, this string is something which we pass over here, and it's simply going to print that for the user. Okay, so now how did we pass a string? As I said, we have to always put semicolons in the beginning, at the end, to make sure that this is not common code. This is a string which I have defined over here. So what string is there? Hello world. Here, what string is there? This is easy. Everything is between semicolons, and that's how it is going to print that. Okay, so this is how we have created our first program, and we are going to do a lot of changes with this particular format as well. But to write anything, make sure that you at least have this amount of code ready with you, and then you can just go ahead and type whatever you want to show to the user over here in the console.